Hello everyone, Trophy Wine Hunter. Welcome back to my wine channel. Today I thought I'd do a video on tips to give to beginners. So I've been drinking for a while and I was thinking if I could go back and give some tips to my younger self, what would I say? So I'm going to give kind of 5 tips to beginners. Recommendation or tip number 1, don't drink. You're saying, Trophy, what are you talking about? It's a wine channel. Why are you talking don't drink? What I mean by that is before you start drinking, get some knowledge, real knowledge. And so why I say that is because my experience was when I started drinking, I just started drinking. And I guess that's kind of a learn as you go experience. It's very expensive to do it that way. So if I had to do this all again, I would probably, for the first year or two, really lightly drink, but really do more research and know more. Because when you do that, you actually know a lot more about the wines. I can't tell you how many wines that I drank in my first couple of years, which I had no idea what I was doing, can't remember. So really, although it was really fun, it was quite useless for my wine education. So tip number 1, before you drink, go and get some education, view really good channels, and not even just my channel. My channel is really for a little bit more experienced drinkers, but for basic knowledge, go and read a lot, go and get visit some sites that are really made for beginners. And one site that I would recommend is Wines for Jimmy. I think that's a really great site. In general, the information that you get on YouTube, it's entertainment, it's great. But what I really find even with wine, other aspects is if you want real knowledge, you actually go to either websites or actual books rather than videos. And that's one of the reasons I actually made this YouTube channel, because I found when I searched on YouTube, I couldn't get any substantial information. Things that I really wanted to know a little bit more in depth, I really had to either go to books or internet or print. Tip number 2, or recommendation number 2, go get a subscription and to a knowledgeable publication. And my recommendation is Wine Spectator, because it is the most basic. It is quite well known and it's trusted. So just read a lot. And this is before you drink, because again, going back to this, when I started out drinking, I just drank everything. It was fun, but I really didn't take in any of that knowledge and I didn't remember it or anything. I think that if I had a little bit more knowledge, that means get a wine subscription, do a little bit more research, I would have enjoyed and appreciate the wines more. The other thing is I think you should really go and get at least a basic course. That means WSET 1 and WSET 2 or a other type of basic tasting course. I think it's really, really important. Again, you can do this by just trial and error, but it's very costly. I mean, if you have an unlimited budget, you can drink every wine in the world. It does kind of. And if your aim for drinking is just to have fun, then don't do this. But if you really want to get more serious about wine, go and get some education even before you start drinking. It really will put context to your drinking experience. And there are certain established ways to taste, to describe wines. Go and get that knowledge first and get a good basis of things. Tip number 3. This is about tasting with others. What I would suggest is for people to go to established wine clubs. That does not mean a bunch of your friends, 10 of you. And I'm talking not about drinking, and I'm not talking about people in industry, I'm talking about just consumers. Go to winery tours, go to wine dinners, go to events that are held by wine experts, okay? So really make sure that you get the right knowledge. And that's really important because you have to get it from the source, you have to get it from knowledgeable people. Getting it from people like myself although I think I'm somewhat knowledgeable, is really, I'm not a professional. I'm not a professional educator in wine. So get it from the winery, go to winery tours, and go to winery dinners. These are very important for learning processes. Again, I'm talking about from a beginner's perspective if you want to really learn more about wine. If you just want to drink wine, go to all your gala tastings and your wine festivals. That's great fun, but you really don't learn, in my opinion, you don't learn anything substantial by going and drinking 100 wines. The way you take the learning is really going to the wine dinners where you have a representative of the winery talking about the wine. And again, be very choosy about what you attend. If it's a wine dinner that's hosted by agent, to me, I'm sorry, that's not good enough, because there are some very knowledgeable wine agents, but there are some that are not as knowledgeable. So that's too much of a risk for me. I want the winemaker or a senior person from the winery to lead the tastings. And same thing with wine clubs. Do go to an established wine club where there are tastings that are led by someone that actually has some wine education or some training in education. Drinking among your group of friends, that's great and fun, but you really need a lead, and you really need someone that is not only knowledgeable, there's difference between people that are knowledgeable and people that are good educators. So there's a lot of people that are, master for wine or whatever, but they're not really good communicators and not really good educators. You need someone that fits with you, and that's a little bit of trial and error, but really go to those good events with knowledgeable people. Tip number 4, recommendation number 4, write down things. And I don't really mean write down, I guess you text things or in this internet world, but somehow get down your thoughts, your notes, your tasting notes, your winery tour reviews. Put that down on paper, or put that down on your computer, or put that in Vivino somewhere. I can't tell you how much I regret all the wine tours that I've had, all the information I've had over the years. I remembered it for that day. I remembered it maybe for the next week, but now 20 years later, I don't remember it. And I wish I had put that down, because that's so much knowledge. Every time you drink a wine, that's knowledge. And if you can't remember it, it becomes wasted knowledge. So write everything down. So every wine tour you go to, take notes. Every wine that you drink, take notes. Wine dinners, take notes. That's why I think wine festivals, although fun, really are not that useful, because it's impossible for you to take detailed notes with hundreds of people around you, including your friends, talking and lining up, and you drinking 40 or 50 wines. You just will not get the type of quality of note. It's fun, it's great for experience and to try things, but it's really not that useful, quite frankly, if you're gonna be serious about wines. And again, I made that mistake. I used to go to a ton of wine festivals. Did I really garner a lot of knowledge? Not really, quite frankly. I would have been better off, again, spending it on focused wine dinners or focused tastings. One of the things BC liquor stores does is they do these tastings in store. It costs you $20, $35. That's really better money spent than a wine festival, quite frankly. It's not as fun. You only get to try 3 wines compared to 400 wines. But in terms of education, it's a way better way to learn about wines. And tip number 5. And this is going to be a little controversial, but as you start off as a beginner, a lot of times, again, I'm talking about most beginners like myself who started off, we're just starting out in the work world. We didn't have a ton of money, so we had to buy. Don't worry. Buy what you're going to drink now. And some people say, no, you should buy for the future trophy, whatever. I'm talking about a typical beginner who wants to get into wine, who wants to learn a bit more about wine, who wants to take it more seriously. Just buy what your budget allows you to, and in particular, buy what you will drink in the next 2 years. Why? Because as you, that's what I found. I used to buy expensive wines at the beginning of my kind of wine career. And quite frankly, there's two problems. One, you'll either drink it really quickly, or two, you won't have the knowledge and experience of wine to actually store it properly. So as a beginner, just go and have fun. Go and buy wines within your budget, because if you have a limited budget or you have a limited storage space, buy things that you will drink within the next 2 or 3 years at the start. And I'm not saying, again, we're talking about beginners, just at the start of your drinking, buy to drink. Because most people have very limited storage facilities. They might have a little wine fridge for 20 or 40 bottles. If you spend all your money on wines that have to age and you take up all the space in your wine fridge or your wine storage facilities, then you kind of limits you. So don't worry about wines. Don't worry about missing out. There'll be plenty of opportunities, quite frankly, in life. And that's what I found. I've always thought, oh, this is my only chance, whatever. Generally speaking, you'll have other chances. And there's so many great wines in the world. If you don't drink this great wine, you'll drink another one, especially in Bordeaux and things like that. And then my bonus tip, I'm sorry, it should be 5 tips. I'm going to give you number 6. Number 6 is basically drink what you like. So have a breadth of experience, but if you are actually going to get serious into wines, spend the time to kind of focus on a certain area. So it could be a month, it could be 3 months, it could be a year. But let's say you, for the next month, drink Malbec from Argentina, so that you actually have a whole good experience about that place and that wine, and then you can actually talk knowledgeably about it. Drinking a Malbec today and Bordeaux tomorrow, Muscadet the third day, then a Riesling, for a beginner is too much. You don't really have that type of breadth. I think it's easier for a beginner to start off and say, well, listen, I'm going to start drinking some Bordeaux. And even Bordeaux might be too wide a range. I'm going to drink, Left Bank. Or I'm going to drink US wines for a little while. And just to get some idea, because after you drink for a while, you actually figure out whether you like that area. And you have some knowledge about that area. Like drinking 15 or 20 wines from that area, I think that gives you a good breadth of knowledge. Drinking 1 wine or 2 wine from some region doesn't really. And again, we're talking about consumers. We're not talking about people who are in the industry. If you're in the industry, you need to drink different things. You need to do that. If you're a wine educator, you need to do that because that's your job. As a consumer, we drink what we like. And so I don't get too fussed when people ask me, oh, do I know about Croatian wines? I don't. But will I drink them? Of course I will. I will love to try them, but I don't have any experience. That's not a knock on me as a person or a wine, drinker. I don't need to have that know about every wine. I don't need to know about any of the wines. I just need to know what I like to drink. And so really don't pressure yourself to be a professional. We aren't professionals, right? Leave the professional wine tasters and the sommeliers and the right readers to them. We're consumers. We just enjoy wine. Don't put that type of pressure on yourself. Just drink and know that area and then move on to another area. Because at least you can say to yourself, listen, I drank Malbec, as an example, for 3 months or a month, didn't like it at all. Or I drank it and I really liked it. So then you have some knowledge base to talk about it. I hope these tips have been helpful. Again, my channel is not really focused on beginners, but I don't want to exclude beginners. I have a lot of young people who view my channel. I have a lot of beginners who view my channel. I don't want to kind of make it over daunting. I don't want to make this pretentious. So I hope that you can learn from my mistakes and save some money and kind of go along that road. But all in all, again, it doesn't matter. Be yourself. Whatever I say, whatever any other expert says, doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter. Be yourself. As long as you're happy, you're enjoying things, don't really worry about what other people think. Wine is supposed to be pleasurable. Wine is supposed to be a hobby that brings you incredible joy. Don't let anyone stem that joy. Don't let anyone tell you what joy or what happiness should be for you. Hope that makes sense. Until next time, happy drinking.